and a bunch of friends, about 7 of us, came over here to Mahukona. Ginger decided to take out a stand-up paddleboard, and she paddled out into the bay. We didn't notice that Ginger was way far out to sea, and there was 2 local girls sitting on the dock, and they said, "Hey, I think your friend Ginger's in trouble. I don't think she can get in." So I told Steve, who was on the kayak with my son Jaron. My son was 12 years old at the time, and I said, "Steve, I think your wife is in trouble. You need to go paddle out and see if she's okay."
Got on top of my paddle board and was paddling away, and I noticed I got myself into a current, and I could feel the current was really strong. And then out of the blue, all of a sudden, the wind came up and the waves got choppy, and down I went.
We didn't know that she had been screaming for help for about 30 minutes, and she had actually fell onto her paddleboard and cracked some ribs. The wind had picked up, there was white caps, and she was getting pulled out to sea. So my son, Jaron, and Steve were on the kayak. They went out to go check on her. The 2 local girls said to me again, "We think the kayak's in trouble now." Barely out of the corner of my eye, I could see this black paddle waving in the air. And that's when I knew they were in trouble. None of them had life jackets. I said, "Someone call 911.
We heard the call, overheard that it was a kayak in distress, possible multiple kayaks. And we also were aware that Chopper 2 was down, not in service.
What do you think, Robin?
Oh, it's only Mahukona.
Yeah, no?
Yeah. So we took the initiative to let dispatch know that we were responding. And so me and Paul Tucker started the jet ski up and launched. And the winds that day had strong trade winds, northeast winds.
So you're able to get some good speed going up there. You got there in about just under 25 minutes.
We finally saw the jet ski, and I was so happy because we couldn't see the kayak anymore.
And we both paddled like our lives were dependent on getting out of that current, and the shore just kept getting farther and farther and farther away. We were in swells that we couldn't even see the shoreline because we were down in a swell that was so deep. And we both explained to Jaron that if we capsized, he needed to hold on to the ropes that were in the kayak and to not let go for his life.
We made contact with the battalion chief who was on duty that day, and he radioed up to us the position of the kayak as he was up on a higher vantage point with binoculars. From where we were, we couldn't see anything. So we just took the 11 o'clock position and we just basically headed to Maui. So we just kept driving, and as we went out, the seas got larger, maybe up to 6-foot seas, 20, 30 mile an hour waves. I got a visual on a little dot, little tiny dot, and I was like, okay, that's them. So we just, eventually that disappeared.
It felt like we were out there for hours, and we were getting very, very fatigued.
As we reached the kayak, I noticed 3 people hanging on to the kayak, and they had a stand-up paddleboard in tow. It was a young boy and 2 older people, male and female. So we got the patients on our rescue sled first, secured them, and then we tied up the vessels, the kayak and the stand-up paddleboard, with our tow rope. And as we were underway, heading back towards Mahukona, we had to take a lot of time, and it was real rough seas.
When I saw the jet ski, I was so relieved. It was like my heart just leaped for joy because I knew my son had a chance of surviving. Up until that point, I was terrified. I thought I have an only child, and I didn't want to lose my only child. And my son and my friend Steve and Ginger are alive today because of not only what Paul and Robin did, but the Daniel Sayer Foundation for getting donations and making this rescue possible. So I'd like to thank the Daniel Sayer Foundation for what they did, raising funds for rescue equipment and training rescue workers is why my son is alive today. I cannot thank you. God bless you.
A week later, we sold the kayak, and luckily the paddleboard broke loose, so it was gone, and we have no plans to replace them. I'd really like to thank the two lifeguards, Robin and Paul, for taking the initiative. We really, really appreciate your courage to come out even though you knew you had wives at home and babies on the way, that you wanted to come out and help us. So thank you so much.